The Milwaukee Bucks have found their secret weapon. And after winning 4 of their last 5 games, Doc Rivers has finally found a winning strategy, and that is involving AJ Green. So we'll break down his impact as well as discuss Pat Connaughton. His future in Milwaukee is in serious jeopardy. Stay tuned for all that in this episode. But before we get into it, if you're a part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Bucks content. So make sure to hit that button. We're on the road to 1,500 subscribers. But obviously the Bucks are winning games again. They've won 4 of their last 5. They're getting themselves into the playoff picture, getting themselves into the playoff race. And with Khris Middleton reportedly coming back next week, things are starting to look up for the Milwaukee Bucks. And a big part of that is because of AJ Green. And obviously to start the season, AJ Green wasn't really, and even in Summer League preseason, Summer League especially, AJ Green wasn't really talked about too much. And obviously we thought that he wasn't going to factor in because they had so many other guys, specifically Gary Trent Jr. that they signed. Torian Prince, obviously don't play the same position, but Damian Lillard taking up a ton of the minutes. The Bucks' terrible start to the season, you can see this here, is going to end up being the biggest blessing in disguise. You can see the stat here. The Bucks are 5-3 when AJ Green plays 18 plus minutes. They are 1-6 when he plays less than 18 minutes. And again, it's not only because of AJ Green, but his impact is very noticeable. And if you've been watching the Bucks game, especially over the past few games, especially when he hasn't been able to play the best offensively, his defense has been absolutely stellar. And coming into the season, Pat Connaughton was kind of going to be taking over this role. We know the Bucks are exploring Connaughton trades. We're going to dive into him in a little bit, but Doc Rivers has finally, and we'll dive into it in a second, but stopped playing Pat Connaughton 20 minutes a game, 15 minutes a game. He's playing him 0 minutes a game. He hasn't played in back-to-back games. And what that has done is allowed guys like Andre Jackson Jr., guys like AJ Green to actually step up and get minutes and play really, really well. And AJ Green has kind of taken that spot and run away with it. And I see a world where he probably is maybe the 6th or 7th man off the bench, or maybe even starts going forward, depending on what their plan is once Middleton returns, and of course once Gary Trent Jr. Gets fully back into things. Because I do also think that Gary Trent Jr. has been playing very well, and we'll get into that in a second as well here. But regarding AJ Green, this guy is the Bucks' secret weapon. You watch these games, and he's helping them win a lot of games. Whether that's his on-ball defense, whether that's him just spacing the floor for Giannis and Dame. He is an unbelievable three-point shooter. He's shooting 49% this year. He shoots a ton of them. And when his defense is actually good, which we didn't think it was going to be great coming into the season, there's really no reason not to play this guy. And Doc Rivers is finally taking notice of that, and that's why he's been playing him a lot more as of late and playing Pat Connaughton 0 minutes. Literally never not playing him at all. So you can see this here. He's averaging 8 points, 1 rebound, shooting 49% from 3, shooting 72% on corner threes, which is absurd in itself. But he's been so good offensively. And again, he has an unreal true shooting percentage because most of his shots, almost all of them, are three-pointers, and he's shooting 50% almost from the three-point line. It's at the point now where he's actually becoming a true 3-and-D player for this team, which is exactly what they needed coming in. They needed to focus and prioritize defense, and what they've ended up doing is kind of inadvertently, and the Bucks' terrible start to the season is what led to them being able to do this. If they didn't start off so slow, they wouldn't have given guys like AJ Green a chance. But because of all the injuries, because of how bad they were playing, Dame Lillard being out, they were forced to start a ton of their young guys, whether that's Ryan Rollins, Ajax, in this case, AJ Green. They found a guy in AJ Green now who can actually, now that the team is starting, we knew they were going to bounce back, but now that they're fully bouncing back and they're actually looking to be a very solid playoff contender, especially if they continue to win, AJ Green is going to play a huge part in that. And you can see Doc Rivers was asked about the Bucks being 4-1 in their last 5. He interjected and said 5-0, obviously talking about the game where the ref stole it from them. He says here, don't lie, he's growing on you. I do think Doc Rivers, to a degree, is growing on a lot of Bucks fans, and it's mainly because he's playing Pat Connaughton no minutes. Ultimately, Pat Connaughton has been horrible this season. The Bucks play worse when he's on the floor. They're not playing good whatsoever, and now that he's not playing Pat and he's playing other guys like AJ Green and Ajax instead, obviously and they're winning games, there's going to be a bit less negative energy and negative talk about Doc Rivers. And he's also, of course, very good with the media. He always has been. We know when he wasn't coaching for a while there, he was kind of a reporter for ESPN, I believe it was. So he's been around for a while. He's a great, people's coach to a degree and very good with the media. It's just the strategy that was in question. But now he's doing solid on that. You can see this here. Their bench is shooting 42.6% from three-point land in November. It's the best mark in the NBA. And that's largely due in part to Gary Trent Jr. and AJ Green. Obviously, Gary Trent Jr. has really started to heat up as of late. He's hitting a lot of his open threes, which we knew he could. And again, he told Doc Rivers in the middle of his extremely rough start when he wasn't getting played, he was getting a lot of DNPs, hey, just bear with me, I'm going to start hitting shots. And he has. And of course, AJ Green as well has, all season. He had a couple of rough stretches. But even in the couple of rough games where he had a couple rough stretches, he was still shooting and playing great defense. He wasn't shooting great, but he was playing phenomenal defense. And that's the big difference between guys who can kind of remain in the league by being 3-and-D players. It's you have to be able to give something else when your shot isn't on, because your shot's not always going to fall for the Milwaukee Bucks, and specifically AJ Green. And as you look at Pat Connaughton, second straight DNP, it might be time, and I think they are actively working on a trade for Pat. Now, we know they're probably going to look to upgrade their backup big man spot. Bobby Portis has been playing better as of late, both offensively and rebounding-wise, facilitating-wise, but a little bit better defensively. But surrounding Pat Connaughton, his spot is just not there anymore. You have guys like Ajax, and specifically AJ Green has completely taken over everything that Pat Connaughton has done. He is a better shooter, and at this point, he's also a better defender. He's fitting in better alongside Dame. He's fitting in better alongside Giannis. So there's zero reason to keep Pat over AJ Green at this point. And Pat Connaughton, his time in Milwaukee is almost certainly up. And again, as you look at where the Bucks currently stand, their record is solid. It's not solid, but it's solid compared to the horrific record they started with, where they were 1-6 or whatever it was. But Pat Connaughton, he's not playing, and the Bucks are winning games. So I don't see Pat getting into any games in the near future. We know a couple games ago, the 3 games ago now at this point, he had like the clutch stretch against the Hornets where they ultimately ended up losing. But other than that, he has been basically useless out there. And compared to AJ Green, obviously it's all comparative at this point, but AJ Green is playing so well that you have to just assume that he's going to take the rest of the minutes. And if you're Pat Connaughton, you probably want to get traded anyways, because you're not going to be playing behind Gary Trent Jr., AJ Green, Ajax, all these different guys. So I think his time in Milwaukee is coming to an end, and it's finally encouraging to see Doc Rivers making these adjustments we were waiting to see the whole time, which is not playing Pat, playing AJ Green more. And again, we knew that he was going to be playing Ryan Rollins instead of DeLon Wright. That was kind of the first change he made, and public change at least. And regarding Ryan Rollins, we have an update in his front as well. The Bucks updated his injury status from left shoulder instability to left shoulder dislocation. As for a timeline, here's what Doc Rivers said. Doc Rivers said, he's in a tough spot, honestly. I think he's going to give it a go. With that injury, you don't have but 2 choices. One is to play, and the other is to do surgery. And Ryan, at this point in his career, surgery would be very difficult for him. So I think he's going to try to give it a go. Not today, obviously, but soon. So we're going to see Ryan Rollins return soon, even though he is dealing with an injury. And given, a surgery at this point of his career, he's finally being given an opportunity to be a backup point guard for a competitive team. So it would be pretty devastating for him to undergo surgery and then had to rebuild and probably get released by the Bucks or whatever ends up happening. So Ryan Rollins will return soon. And we're seeing AJ Green finally shine. We're seeing Doc Rivers finally start to listen and make the adjustments that are necessary. And that's why the Bucks are sitting in the middle of, towards the bottom of the East, but a lot better than what they were even just a couple of weeks ago, which is very encouraging. And again, they play tonight, so stay tuned for a post-game video, because there's a lot to discuss with this team, and they're on a bit of a roll, and I think they can really make a push for this Eastern Conference. Not necessarily to win it, because obviously the Cavs have a great record, 15-1, and the Celtics, but make a big push towards it, because they are 6-9 right now, and only a couple games back of the middle of the pack. So that'll wrap it up. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for the video later tonight. See you guys later.